Pasha the polar bear cub was an adventurer. His fur was as white as the freshly fallen snow in his Arctic home, and his heart was full of a boundless curiosity that often led him into mischief. One morning, while his mother was hunting for seals far out on the sea ice, Pasha discovered something he had never seen before. It was a large wooden crate washed ashore from a distant ship. The scent of strange new things wafted from inside, a mix of sweet fruit and unknown spices. He just had to see what was inside. With a determined push of his little nose, he nudged the crate's door open and tumbled inside, landing softly on a pile of straw. The world inside the crate was dark and smelled wonderfully weird. Before Pasha could explore further, he felt a sudden lurch as the crate was lifted high into the air. He heard the rumble of an engine and the shouts of men, but he was too small to peek outside. The journey was long and bumpy, rocking him gently to sleep. When he finally awoke, the air was no longer crisp and cold. Instead, it was thick, warm and humid, filled with the buzzing of insects and the calls of exotic birds. He cautiously poked his head out of the crate and saw a world painted in vibrant greens and browns, a stark contrast to his familiar landscape of white ice and blue water. He had arrived in a jungle. Giant trees with thick leafy canopies towered over him, their branches dripping with moisture. Brightly colored flowers bloomed everywhere, and strange creatures with long tails chattered from the high branches. Pasha had never felt such warmth on his thick fur, or seen so many different shades of green. He took a hesitant step out of the crate and onto the soft, damp earth. Everything was new and exciting. He saw a sparkling river nearby, its waters moving slowly under the dappled sunlight. Forgetting his mother's warnings about unknown waters, the little cub felt an irresistible pull to explore this amazing green paradise. Drawn by the shimmering water, Pasha trotted toward the riverbank, his paws sinking slightly into the muddy ground. He dipped a curious paw into the warm water, so different from the icy Arctic seas he was used to. A bright blue butterfly fluttered past his nose, and he playfully swatted at it, giggling as it danced away. This new world was full of wonders, and the little polar bear felt a thrill of pure joy. He was no longer Pasha, the Arctic cub. He was Pasha, the great jungle explorer. He decided to follow the river, eager to see what other secrets this incredible place held, completely unaware of the dangers that lurked just beneath the surface. As Pasha ambled along the river's edge, his attention was caught by a group of monkeys chattering loudly in a nearby tree. They were tossing juicy-looking fruits to one another, and one dropped right near the water. It smelled sweet and delicious, nothing like the fishy seals he usually ate. The little cub, his tummy rumbling, scrambled closer to the bank to retrieve the tasty treat. He leaned over, stretching his neck as far as he could to reach the fruit. The water was calm and looked perfectly safe, reflecting the green leaves and blue sky like a perfect, unbroken mirror. He was so focused on the prize that he didn't notice the two small bumps that had appeared on the water's surface. Those bumps were not rocks or floating leaves, they were the eyes of a very large and very hungry predator. Hidden just below the murky water was a massive jaguar, its spotted coat providing perfect camouflage. The big cat had been watching the small white creature for several minutes, astonished to see such an unusual animal in its territory. To the jaguar, the fluffy white cub looked like an easy meal, a soft and unsuspecting target. With immense patience, the jaguar sank lower into the water, only its eyes and nose breaking the surface as it silently propelled itself closer and closer to the unsuspecting polar bear cub. The moment Pasha's paw touched the fruit, the water exploded. With a powerful surge, the jaguar burst from the river, its muscular body a blur of yellow and black spots. A deep, guttural snarl ripped through the air as its massive jaws, filled with sharp, glistening teeth, snapped shut with incredible force. Pasha yelped in terror, tumbling backward just in time. The jaguar's teeth missed his leg by a whisker, clamping down on the air with a sickening thwack. The cub scrambled away from the water's edge, his heart pounding like a drum against his ribs, his fur bristling with pure, unadulterated fear. The jaguar was not deterred. It heaved its powerful body onto the muddy bank, its yellow eyes locked onto the terrified cub. It crouched low, muscles tensed, ready to pounce again. Pasha was frozen in place, too scared to run. He had faced the biting Arctic winds and the vast, empty ice fields, but he had never faced a hunter like this. The air grew thick with tension, the sounds of the jungle fading into a dull roar in his ears. The jaguar gathered its powerful hind legs beneath it for a final deadly leap. For Pasha, the brave little explorer, it seemed that his grand adventure was about to come to a very sudden and terrifying end. Just as the jaguar launched itself through the air, another creature erupted from the river with even greater force. It was enormous, a long, scaly beast of green and gray. A huge crocodile with a snout full of jagged teeth had been resting on the riverbed, disturbed by the commotion. This crocodile, named Sobek, was the old king of this part of the river, and he did not like noisy hunters disrupting his afternoon nap. With a speed that seemed impossible for his size, Sobek shot out of the water and positioned his immense body directly between the pouncing jaguar and the terrified polar bear cub. It was a shield of scales and muscle. The jaguar, caught completely by surprise, crashed headfirst into the crocodile's tough, armored side. The impact sent the big cat tumbling sideways into the mud with a yelp of shock and pain. It had expected soft, white fur, not the hard, unyielding hide of a giant reptile. Sobek the crocodile didn't attack. He simply stood there, a living wall of protection. He turned his head slowly, his ancient reptilian eyes fixing the jaguar with a cold, unwavering stare. He then opened his massive jaws and let out a low, rumbling hiss, a sound that promised immense power and violence. It was a clear warning, a message understood by every creature in the jungle. This is my river and you are not welcome to hunt here. Pasha watched, his fear momentarily replaced by sheer astonishment. This giant scaly creature, which looked even scarier than the jaguar, had just saved him. He had heard tales from wandering seabirds of giant lizards with powerful jaws, but he never imagined he would meet one, let alone be protected by one. The jaguar, dazed and outmatched, quickly got to its feet. It gave the crocodile one last resentful glare, shook the mud from its beautiful coat, and then silently slinked back into the dense jungle foliage, its hunt thoroughly ruined. The immediate danger had vanished as quickly as it had appeared. With the jaguar gone, the jungle slowly returned to its normal, buzzing rhythm. Sobek the crocodile remained still for a moment, ensuring the threat was truly gone. Then he slowly turned his massive head toward the small, trembling ball of white fur. Pasha braced himself, thinking his new protector might now turn on him. But Sobek's ancient eyes were not filled with hunger or aggression. Instead, there was something else, something that looked almost like curiosity. The huge reptile gave a soft grunt, a sound far gentler than his earlier hiss, and then settled his body down on the bank, watching the little cub with a calm and patient gaze. Pasha, still shaking from his near-death experience, looked at the giant crocodile who had so unexpectedly saved his life. He took a hesitant step forward, then another. Sobek didn't move a muscle, his gaze remaining soft and steady. Gathering all his courage, Pasha walked right up to the crocodile's enormous snout and gave it a gentle nudge with his own nose, just as he would with his mother. It was the only way he knew how to say thank you. Sobek, who had never felt such a gentle touch in his long life, blinked his large eyes slowly. A strange and unfamiliar feeling of warmth spread through the old reptile's heart. From that day forward, an unbelievable friendship began to blossom. Pasha, the curious polar bear cub from the frozen north, and Sobek, the ancient crocodile king of the warm jungle river, became the most unlikely pair of companions. Pasha would spend his days near the riverbank, and Sobek would bask in the sun nearby, always keeping a watchful eye on his small, fluffy friend. Pasha showed Sobek how to play, batting playfully at his tail and sliding down the muddy banks into the shallow water, splashing the stoic crocodile with a spray of water that made the old reptile feel young again. They were a bizarre but happy sight. Sobek in turn became Pasha's guide and protector in this strange new world. He taught the little bear which parts of the river were safe for a swim, and which brightly colored frogs were not safe to eat. When other predators drew near, Sobek needed only to lift his head and show his formidable teeth to send them running. The other jungle animals watched in amazement, chattering and whispering about the fearsome crocodile and his little white shadow. Their bond was a source of endless wonder, a living story that proved that friendship could bridge any gap, no matter how wide. Pasha and Sobek showed everyone that you don't have to look the same or come from the same place to be the best of friends. Their friendship was built on a moment of pure kindness and bravery. It was a powerful reminder that what is on the inside, courage, loyalty, and a kind heart, is far more important than the fur or scales on the outside. the little polar bear who had been lost and alone had found a new home and a true friend, not in the cold, white world he knew, but in the warm, green jungle beside a giant, scaly, and wonderfully kind crocodile.